I wish I had someone show me what I'm about to show you when I first started Meta Ads. What's up, everyone? For those of you that don't know me, my name is Michael and I'm an advertiser who specializes in Meta Ads. I've personally spent over $3.5 million of my own business's money on Meta Ads, and now I manage around $250,000 a month in Meta ad spend for several 6- and 7-figure clients. I'm rated in the top 1% of freelancers on Upwork, and I'm also rated excellent on Trustpilot. In today's video, I'm gonna give you a crash course on Meta Ads from the perspective of someone who runs ads every day for a living. I'm gonna show you some of the most important features that I use every day so that you can be confident in the Meta Ads Manager. So here's what we're gonna cover. I'm gonna give you a tour of the Meta Ads Manager and highlight some of the key features that I think you should be aware of. We'll talk about the Meta Pixel and Conversions API. I'll explain how Meta Ads optimize. We'll set up an advantage shopping campaign together, and I'll talk through each one of the settings as we go along. I'll briefly touch on lead generation for Meta Ads. And last, I'll give you some best practices to keep in mind so that you can be confident when you run your Meta Ads. In under 1 hour, you will know more than 90% of Meta advertisers today. Sound good? Let's get started. Stick around till the end. I have an exclusive offer for you that you don't want to miss. All right, you guys, I'm gonna get started by giving you a tour of the Meta Ads Manager. Check this out. So as you can see, this is the Meta Ads Manager. This is where the magic happens, okay? You can get here by going to adsmanager.facebook.com, or you can go to business.facebook.com, and then along the left side of the screen, you're gonna see these icons. You can click on All Tools, and then Ads Manager, and then you click on Campaigns, and that's how you get here. This is what I would consider home base, if you will. Okay, so at the top of the screen, you can see your different ad accounts here. This is where you would choose your ad account. Make sure that you're always advertising inside a business ad account. If you ever advertise inside a personal name ad account and you get banned, it's very difficult to get back. So it's important that you always use a business ad account, okay? Now over on the right-hand side of the screen, this is gonna be our date selection. This is very important for you to be aware of. This is how you can choose the various date ranges here and update the data so you can see kind of what's going on with your ad campaigns. Now you can see that the Ads Manager is broken up into 3 different tabs here: the Campaign tab, the Ad Sets tab, and the Ads tab, okay? So the Campaign tab, this is gonna show you all your campaigns. Now campaigns, you can think of like a big folder, okay? Campaigns, you primarily just choose your campaign objective, and they hold ad sets and ads inside, okay? Now, there's a lot of different campaign objectives, but the main 2 that we're gonna concern ourselves with are sales and leads. So sales, we primarily use for, whenever you're selling something. It could be, e-commerce or a service-based business, doesn't really matter. And then leads is another great way if you're trying to build like an email list, or you're trying to generate, traffic into your brick and mortar store or something like that. Okay, so those are the main 2 that they give the best quality traffic. So that's why we use those primarily. Okay, so ad sets are where you choose the targeting for your ad campaign. Okay, so you can choose a lot of different settings like demographics, right? So you can choose age, gender. You can also choose location settings, so you can do countries or cities. And then you can also choose your placement, so where your ads appear on Meta's platforms, okay? So that's where ad sets are, where you choose those settings. And then inside of ad sets, you have ads, and that's where you actually upload your new video that you created or image that you created, and the copy as well as the link that goes to your product or service. So the ads are what people actually see on Meta, okay? So campaigns can hold multiple ad sets, and ad sets can hold multiple ads. Okay, so the next thing I want you to be aware of is that you can put a check mark next to, say, a campaign, and then go to the ad set tab, and now the ad set tab is only going to show you the ad sets associated with the checked campaign here, okay? So you can see now I only see 1 ad set, and then I can do the same. I can put a check mark next to this ad set and only see the ads that are associated with this ad set. Okay, so if you wanted to kind of break it down like that and just like focus in on one specific campaign or ad set or ads, this is how you do it, okay? So next, I want to show you a really simple tool to kind of clean up your view if you need. That's going to be filter by selection. So what we do is we just put a check mark next to the campaigns that we want to see, or the ad sets or the ads. And then you're going to click on this search bar at the top and then click filter by row selections. And you can see when I do that, it basically only shows me the ones that I put a check mark next to. And that can be a nice way to kind of clean up your view if it starts getting a little messy. Generally, I do not recommend that you delete any campaigns, ad sets, or ads. These hold a lot of very useful conversion data and click-through data and all this stuff that you can use to your benefit. So highly recommend that you don't delete those, okay? Use filter by selection if you want to just clean up your view, okay? So next, I want to show you the breakdown tool. So this is a super important tool that you need to become familiar with. So what we can do is we can break down our various campaigns, ad sets, and ads by various parameters like demographics, by placement, by dynamic creative element, and I'll show you what I mean. So you can click on breakdown and we can see, okay, what age are people primarily buying? What are their ages, right? So we click on age and you can see here that it starts to break down our results by age, okay? And I like to sort by amount spent like this. So I just click on the word amount spent and then I can see, okay, primarily I got a booked, I got a purchase here from somebody that was 35 to 44 years old. Perfect. So we can start to look at bigger time frames, like the last 30 days, for example, and I can see, okay, I got a lot of purchases from people that are 25 to 34. Really good information. We can also break down by country, for example, and you can see where a lot of our purchases are coming from, right? We're getting sales in Mexico, United States, India, Israel, Brazil. So very, very valuable information for you to do your targeting in the future. You can also see where your traffic is coming from. Where is Meta placing your ads? Okay, so I click on placement, breakdown by placement, and you can see it's primarily showing my ads on Instagram, Reels, in-app. So getting a lot of mobile traffic. You can see how Meta's spending on these various placements. Again, very important information. So I really encourage you to use the breakdown tool. It's very, very important that you break down your data and start to use that data to your advantage, okay? So now how do we actually analyze this data? As you can see, the ads manager is broken up into many, many columns here. And I've actually included a PDF where I break down all the different columns and what they mean and how to interpret the data in each column. So to actually update your columns, you would click on columns here, and then you would click on customize columns. And then from here, you're going to type in the various metrics that you want. So for example, I would type unique outbound click. Okay, and if I wanted to add that to my columns, I would put a check mark here, and then I have unique outbound clicks here, and then I would hit save, okay? And that is how we apply our various columns, okay? So now we need to become familiar with all these different metrics, and like I said, I have that PDF there for you, so make sure you definitely check that out. All right, you guys, next I want to talk to you about the Meta Pixel and Conversions API and why it's so important. So first of all, what is the Meta Pixel? The Meta Pixel is a piece of code that you put onto your website, and it actually tracks the behavior of the people that go on your website, and it tracks all the different actions that occur on your website. So if somebody loads, say, a page, Meta knows that, and will actually match that person with their Facebook profile, and then it can actually show the ads to them or people like them. Okay, so it's very important that we have a Meta Pixel placed on our website. Now, a Meta Pixel was all you needed before, but then a few years back, Apple released something called iOS 14.5, and this was a data restriction kind of thing where people could opt out of being tracked by services like Meta, and a lot of people did. Most people did. So Meta, being smart, they came up with Conversions API to try to get around that. So the Meta Pixel is a browser-to-browser connection between your website and the user. Conversions API is a server-to-server connection. So this kind of bypasses that Apple update. So basically, if you only have the Meta Pixel tracking people's behavior on your website, then you are losing out on a lot of the people that opted out on their iPhone. So if you have Conversions API enabled, then you regain that data. Both the Metapixel and the Conversions API, they collect the same exact data, but where the Pixel may lack some data, the Conversions API picks up that slack, and then Meta in the background deduplicates that data, and then you have the full picture. I know it sounds a little technical, but just to boil it all down, basically you need to have the Metapixel and Conversions API enabled on your website and connected to your ads manager if you want to make the most out of your ads. This is extremely important, guys. Meta Ads is a 100% data game. So the stronger your signal from your website to Meta Ads, the better. Okay, so check this out. This is how we see where our Metapixel and Conversions API lives and how to work with it. So you can see here we're in our Meta Ads Manager, right? Now we're going to go to the left-hand side of the screen and we're going to click on Events Manager. This is where our Pixel and Conversions API live. So we're going to click on Events Manager. Now we're going to click on Data Sources. Okay, now you can see all our pixels here, okay? And if we scroll down, what we can see is an events activity chart. So this is all the events that have occurred on our website. And then below you can see the different conversion events that have occurred on our website. So these you actually have to set up yourself. It is very easy if you have a platform like Shopify or WordPress or something that has an integration with Meta. These will automatically be set up for you. It's nice and easy. Otherwise, you may need to hire a software developer to set up these conversion events for you. So now, what are conversion events? These are events that fire when people take specific actions. So if somebody adds to cart, Meta will fire an add to cart conversion event and send that to your Meta Ads Manager. So Meta knows, okay, this person added to cart on your website, right? And that's very important information for your ads manager because it can then start to optimize your ads. More importantly, you need to have your initiate checkout, and then most important of all is your purchase event, right? Because we're ultimately going to optimize for the purchase event when we're using sales campaigns. Okay, so we're optimizing for the sales event because that's what we want. We want people to buy on our site. So you can see here we have all our different conversion events here, and you can see when we see integration here and then it says multiple, you can hover over the little I and it says sent via browser and conversions API. That's what we want, guys. It shouldn't only say pixel, it needs to say multiple. That's going to be your strongest kind of connection between your website and Meta. Okay, and then event match quality, this is like the quality of data that Meta's getting. You basically just want to get this as high as possible, okay? So if you're using an integration, you don't really need to worry about this. It's kind of taken care of for you. But if you are doing a custom coding situation, then tell your developer, I need to get my event match quality as high as possible. This is super important, okay? So next, how do we test that our pixel is working? So you can always click on test events here, and then click on confirm your website's events are set up correctly. And then we will go here, type in the URL of your website, click open website. And now your website's going to load up on the next tab. And then make sure that you have your pop-up blocker turned off, otherwise this won't work. And then you can go back and see that the page view conversion event actually fired. Okay, and now if I click on buy now, you can see that we had another conversion event fire. See now, and you can see now initiate checkout fired on our pixel. And then if I were to actually purchase this, the purchase event would fire. Okay, so this is how you check that your pixel is actually working. Walk through your step of buying your product or service and make sure that the correct events are firing at the correct time and that they're only firing one of each, right? We don't want duplicates or triplicates of our events. Okay, so that is how you test events in your pixel. Next, you can use the event setup tool to set up events manually on your website if you don't have an integration. So you can go to settings and then go to open event setup tool here. And this is how you, basically you click this, you put your website in, and then this will open up your website again, but now with Meta's event setup tool, and then you can either track a new button or track a URL. So let's say I wanted to track this buy now, for example, I can assign a conversion event to that. I can say add to cart, initiate checkout, lead, purchase, whatever you want, and then you'd hit confirm and save. I'm not going to do that because this is already set up for our site. Okay. And that's it. That's basically everything you need to know at a high level for the Metapixel. To sum it all up, it's very important that you set up a Metapixel and Conversions API on your website to make sure that you have the strongest data connection between your website and Meta. That's going to give you the best results. You're going to get a lot more out of your money that you're spending on your ads if you set this part up properly. So I really recommend that you focus in on this part and get this part right, and then the rest is going to be a lot easier. All right, you guys, next I want to explain to you how Meta ads optimize, okay, so that you can understand what's actually going on when your ads go live. So first of all, when you launch your ad campaign, Meta is going to look at your ad account data, and it's also going to look at your ad set settings or your audience settings, right? To choose the pool of people that it's going to show your ads to. Then your ad is going to go out into the world. People are going to start to comment and like your ad, right? That's called engagement data. Meta is going to look at the profile of the people that comment and like on your ad. It's going to take that as a signal and say, oh, these people are interested. And it's going to start to show your ad to more and more people like them. Then somebody's going to make that first purchase. That person is actually very important. Why? Because Meta is going to look at their profile and it's going to show the ad to more and more people like them. So if that first person or those first few people that make purchases are your ideal customer avatar, then your ad is going to optimize really well and it's going to be shown to more and more people that are likely to buy. Now, if that first person or those first few people are not your ideal customer, maybe it's just a one-off random purchase, or it's a small purchase, for example, this is going to lead to your ad looking like it's going to do well, and then it's going to start to be shown to more and more people that are not that interested, and your ad campaign is going to do worse and worse. So generally, that is how Meta ads optimize. So if you can kind of keep that in your mind, just be very observant in the first 24 to 48 hours of your ad campaign's life. It's super important. Why? Because Meta will give you low-hanging fruit conversions, or basically it's going to put your ad in front of people that are very likely to convert at first. So it gives you the dopamine hit and keeps you advertising, basically. And it's also giving your campaign conversion data, which is what it needs to optimize, okay? So if you see that your first conversion is a nice big order and it happens really quick, then I would be very happy, and I would wait to see if it continues to improve over time. I would be more hesitant to close it, basically. If I see that the first order is a puny order, or you can tell that it's somebody that's not really your target audience, then I would be a little bit more quick to potentially close that ad after a few days. But generally, when we launch a new ad, we like to give it at least like 3, maybe 5 days before we even assess the data. This actually depends, how long we wait depends on how big your budget is. Basically, the bigger your daily budget, the sooner you can make these decisions. The smaller your daily budget, the longer we need to let Meta kind of do its thing. Generally, my rule of thumb is I try to set up my ad campaigns in such a way that I can reasonably expect to get 1 to 2 sales per day per ad set. That's very important, because if I say go 3 days without a sale and I've set it up in such a way where I should get 1 or 2 sales a day, then I know there's a problem. By the 3rd day, I can turn it off. If I set a campaign budget that's really, really small compared to, say, my price of my product. So let's say I have a product that costs $100 and I set a $5 a day budget. that's way too little, and it's going to basically Meta's going to get lost trying to find you conversions, and it's probably not going to optimize well. So use common sense, try to set a budget that kind of makes sense. So for like $100 product, maybe a $50 a day budget or a $100 a day budget would make sense, and then you can base your future budgets off of your average cost per purchase, which you should see in that PDF that I shared with you. It's going to have that whole explanation there. So that's what you need to know about how Meta ads optimize. All right, you guys, next I'm gonna walk you through setting up a sales campaign from scratch, okay? So check this out. So we're in our ads manager, right? In the top left-hand corner, we click on this green create button. This is how we create a new campaign, okay? Now you're gonna see a bunch of different campaign objectives. Like I mentioned earlier, the two most important campaign objectives that you need to focus on are sales and leads, okay? The rest generally are a waste of money, okay? They tend to give you pretty low quality traffic. They don't tend to generate sales. You might be able to get traffic, but what good is traffic if it's not paying the bills, right? We are measured by the dollars and cents in our bank account, okay? So that's what we care about, sales and leads. Okay, so let's click on sales. All right, next, Meta's gonna ask you, do you wanna set up an advantage shopping campaign or a manual campaign? So the difference is an advantage shopping campaign is the latest and greatest setup from Meta ads, okay? Basically, it's a campaign on training wheels. You don't have to choose a lot of settings. It kind of does everything for you. All you have to do is provide the creative and the country and the budget. And that's basically it. And then you're all set. Now, manual campaigns, you have a lot more settings that you can use to set up your ads. So I recommend that you test both. Both are very effective. Advantage shopping campaigns tend to work better with ad accounts that have more data, but they can also work with new ad accounts, so it's worth testing. When these work, they're very stable, they're easy to vertically scale, or they're easy to increase the budget and not lose your performance, which typically happens when you increase your budgets. And generally, they're less fragile than, let's say, a manual campaign. So we're going to click on Advantage Shopping Campaign. All right, so now you can see this is the screen we see when we create an Advantage Shopping campaign. So what I recommend you do is you name this campaign the day that it starts. So let's say tomorrow it's gonna start February 9th. We're gonna call it Advantage Shopping Campaign, and we can call it maybe, sales campaign. If I could type sales campaign, okay? So next, special categories. So if you are in any of these special categories like financial products, employment, housing, social issues, then you actually have to choose this. Otherwise, you're breaking the Meta ads rules. This is so that you don't do any like discriminatory targeting and stuff like that. For the majority of you, you won't need to do this. But if you're in like real estate, for example, then you do need to choose housing, or if you're doing employment, that type of thing. So for this situation, I'm just doing straight up e-commerce, so this doesn't apply to me here, so I'm not going to choose this. The next thing here you can see is Advantage Plus catalog ads. So if you had, say, a Shopify store with different catalogs of products, you can actually pull the images directly from your website and use them in your ads. So if you wanted to do that, you could click on here and use them there. But in this case, I'm not going to use that. Next, conversion location. So remember when we talked about the pixel and how they had conversion events? So this is kind of where we're choosing that we want to optimize for these events. So check this out. You can either optimize for web and shop, so either your website or going to your Instagram shop, or you can choose just website. Both work, both have their pros and cons. If you have an Instagram shop, you can try it out. I think there's some pros, like people can check out right on Instagram, for example. They also Meta will send out like abandoned cart emails and stuff like that for you, but they also kind of keep the data, and it's just not, you're not getting all the data on your website. So there's pros and cons, right? So I'm going to choose website in this case. And now performance goal. So this is basically what you want to optimize for, right? So in this case, we're maximizing the number of conversions, or the number of purchases in this case, right? But you can also maximize for the value of those conversions. So instead of getting the most amount of purchases as possible, we're just trying to get purchases that are of the highest value. So you can choose those. Typically though, 9 times out of 10, we're choosing maximum number of conversions. This value conversion thing is kind of new, but you can definitely test it out. It's worth testing. Okay. Next is data set. You're going to choose your pixel. So this is the pixel that you set up. And then conversion event, right? So again, we always want to optimize for the last step in the funnel, meaning the last step is the purchase. Okay, so we're choosing purchase. We want to find more and more people that are going to take that action and fire that conversion event, that purchase event. We're trying to optimize for people that are going to buy on our website, basically. Okay, so we choose purchase. Cost per result goal. So let's say you had a $100 product and you wanted to get purchases for $50. So it's costing you $50 to get somebody to buy whatever you're selling on your website. It's costing you $50, right? So you could put $50 here, and now you're telling Meta, okay, I only want you to spend my money if you feel like you can get me a sale for $50. Okay, this is called cost per result goal. Okay, so this is, kind of a double-edged sword. Sometimes it can work really well. Other times it won't spend. Like let's say Meta can't find you sales for $50. It won't actually spend your budget. So generally I recommend if you're new to Meta ads, I wouldn't mess with this. Just go with leaving this blank for now. But as you get more advanced, you can start messing with these cost per result goals. Okay. So next, we have our attribution settings here. Generally, I don't recommend that you touch these, but basically this is how Meta attributes your ad campaigns with sales. So it like gives credit to the campaign, whether or not I got a sale. And the attribution window, or the window where Meta will credit your ad campaign with a sale, is the standard is 7 days click, 1 day view, or 1 day engaged view. So what does that mean? If somebody clicks on your ad within the last 7 days and then goes on and makes a purchase, Meta's going to take credit for that sale in your ads manager. Same thing if somebody sees your campaign within 1 day and then goes and makes a purchase on your site, again, Meta's going to take that credit and attribute it to your ad campaign in your ads manager. So that's pretty much all you need to know about that for right now. So next, audience location. So you can choose your different locations here. You can choose, whatever country you want or whatever cities you want to advertise in. Okay, next reporting. So you can tell Meta what your engaged audience looks like in your advertiser settings. So in here you can choose, you can see here we chose all of our basically website visitors as our engaged audience. And then here in existing customers, we put our purchasers. So if you're not familiar with how to create custom audiences, you can do that inside of audiences. And you can basically use your conversion events from your pixel to create dynamic audiences, right? So you can tell Meta what your purchasers look like or what your website visitors look like based on your pixel data, okay? So next is gonna be your budget and schedule. So, typically we set our daily budgets, not lifetime budgets. It's easier to manage. It's easier to kind of, it spends a little bit more evenly, I guess you could say. But if lifetime budgets make more sense for you, that's perfectly fine. Lifetime budgets are, you set an end date, let's say the end of the month, and then you say, okay, I have $1,000, spend $1,000 between now and the end of the month. That's lifetime. Daily is, okay, I have $20 a day that I'm going to give to this ad campaign, and you can turn it off manually, okay? So you set your budget here. Next, existing customer budget cap. So if you set up your audiences properly, you can tell Meta, okay, I don't want you to show my ads to any existing customers. You would put 0 here, okay? Or let's say you only wanted to show your ads to 50%. Or only spend up to 50% of your budget on existing customers. That's what you would set here. This Advantage shopping campaigns don't really respect what you put in here that much. So basically, advantage shopping campaigns do a lot of retargeting. It will show your ads to people that have engaged with you before or purchased from you before. That's just kind of the way they work. So just keep that in mind, okay? Next, schedule. So rule of thumb is set your campaigns to start sometime in the future. So like today is February 8th, it's 1:30 p.m. I wouldn't start my campaign right now. I would start it tomorrow, let's say at early in the morning, maybe like 2 a.m. Why? Well, your ad account resets every night at midnight. Okay, so let's say that you had $1,000 a day budget, right? If you were to say start your campaign February 8th at 10 p.m., okay, Meta is going to try to spend all $1,000 between 10 p.m. and midnight. It's not going to actually spend all $1,000, but it's going to like push your ads out there and try to spend as much as it can, right? We know this. Meta is trying to extract money from the advertisers first and then get your results second, okay? Just keep that in mind. Anyways, so at midnight, what happens? The daily budget resets and now you start again. So starting at 12:01, it's going to start to spend that $1,000 again. So that your ads optimize in a better way, that's why we recommend you start it the next day, sometime early in the morning, so that your ad has all day to spend that $1,000 and it takes its time to find the right people, basically. Okay. And then that's basically all the settings you have in here in an advantage shopping campaign. Next, you're going to click on the ad level. So this top level is the campaign level and ad set level combined. They're actually combined in an advantage shopping campaign. And then you have your ad level here. So here is where you would choose your ads. So let's say ad example. Okay, here is where you would choose your Facebook page and your Instagram account. Okay, then you have ad setup. You can choose create an ad, or you can use an existing piece of content from your Facebook or Instagram. This is what we commonly refer to as post IDs. If you see, people talking about post IDs, that's what that is. Okay. Next, you can choose a single image or video, carousel, collection, or flexible ads. Okay, so flexible ads, you give Meta a bunch of different creative assets, images, videos, and it will mix and match it algorithmically and show the best combination to your audience. Okay, but you can't really, it won't let you break it down and see which one is the best one. So that's the downside with that, but it actually does work. So worth a test. Single image or video, self-explanatory. Carousel, self-explanatory. That's where you swipe through the photos. Collection, we don't really use these. It's like you almost have to create a mini website within Meta. You get a lot of good click-through rates and stuff like that, but not many sales. I don't use collection ads very much. Okay. Next, multi-advertiser ads. So basically what this does is it will cram your ad into the same space as another ad. So long story short, I like to keep this off. Here is where you would put your URL. Okay. So we're going to put newboldads.com here. If you wanted to have people call your website, or sorry, call your business afterwards, then you can choose that here, but typically I choose none. And then set up ad creative. This is how we actually set up our ad. So we click on image or video ad. So here we can choose video ad. This creative setup thing is new. It's kind of annoying. Basically, Meta will automatically add site links to the bottom of your ad, as you can see here. I recommend that you turn this off. It's kind of distracting. It could be, it could work for you in certain cases if you have links that you'd like to have at the bottom of your ad. But for me, I think it's a little distracting. I want somebody to go to one place to do one thing. The more specific and the less clicks that you make somebody do, the better. Okay, so that's why I like to turn that off. And same with this catalog thing. I tend to turn this off. So I just turn both these things off. Next, primary text, headline, and description. We'll get to that in a minute. Here we're going to choose our ad creative, right? This is where you can trim the video if you'd like. And then you have, these are the 3 different placements that you will see on your ads, right? So this is stories, reels, and basically stories and reels. 9:16 is the aspect ratio here. Then you have feeds, in-stream, and search results. So this is typically 1 by 1. You can choose 1 by 1 and it'll kind of crop it, zoom it in. And this is right column and search results. And again, this is saying 16 by 9 here. So you can see these are the 3 different placements. The most important ones are the first 2. This is where typically most of your money will be spent, but it's important that you optimize for all 3. You know, if you want to do it right, make your ads in the 3 different aspect ratios so it looks professional. Okay, so then we'll hit next. Next, you're going to see enhancements. I just recommend that you turn all of these off, and notice at the bottom here you'll actually see that they hide some of them. Meta's using all these new AI things to mix and match your videos and your text, and basically if you're spending time making a nice ad, it's going to kind of mess it up. So long story short, I recommend you turn all these off. Test them out to your own discretion, you know, use your best judgment, but generally, as somebody that does this every day, I turn these off, just so you know. Okay, so then we hit done. So now is when I typically go in and I will put in my text on my ad. Okay, so here you can see we have a preview of our ad here on the right, and I'm going to put new course on sale now. Okay, this is called the primary text. On Facebook, you can see over here that it shows up above the ad. Next, you can see new comedy course. This is going to show up down here in bold. This is your headline. As you can see, you can add multiple text options if you want. Text number 2, and then it's going to mix and match these. You know, it's going to algorithmically serve these based on what it thinks is going to perform best. Okay, and then description. Let's say let's just put comedy course here, and then let's put limited time offer. You can see here is where the description shows up. And then on Instagram, the primary text is going to be what you see below. Here you see it says text 2, and you can see right here text. So this is where the primary text lives on Instagram. So anyways, you can look through all the different placements here and see how your ad's going to look. I do recommend that you check all these. You can also click here on this edit group and make sure that your ad looks correct on the specific placements. You can see you're editing 12 placements. You can choose the specific placement and then edit it accordingly. You can change the thumbnail here. You can change the primary text, headline, everything. This overrides anything that you see here. So you have to be very careful. If you have something in here, but you don't see it here, it's going to take what's inside of this edit group section, just so you know. A lot of people don't know that. Okay, next is going to be your call to action. So that's going to be the button that shows up on your ad. See, apply now, apply now. Here's where all those AI enhancements live. If you wanted to make sure that you turned all those off, I would do those here. And that's basically it. That is how you create an ad. And then I would go back up and name this something specific to the creative, just so you know, and be consistent with the way you name things. So I would say comedy ads course, Greg and Nate, pink background, for example. And now I know that's what, at a glance, I can see what it is. So once you're ready to hit publish, you would just click publish, and then your ad would go live at the scheduled time. Okay, so that is how you set up an Advantage shopping campaign. All right, so now you know how to set up an Advantage shopping campaign in Meta Ads. But what if you wanted to set up a campaign for leads, for example? I'm going to show you the basics real quick. So check this out. We're in the Ads Manager. We're going to click on Create, and then we're going to click on Leads. In this case, I tend to use manual leads campaigns. So now you can see what a manual campaign looks like. Okay, so you can see here on the top, we have our campaign level, we have the ad set level, and then we have the ad level. So again, in the campaign level, we just choose our objective. So you can see, I would name this, say the day that it starts, maybe leads campaign, for example. Now here, Advantage campaign budget. Basically what this is You may see people refer to this as CBO versus ABO. This setting used to be called Campaign Budget Optimization, or CBO, but now it's called Advantage Campaign Budget. Basically, what it does is you're telling Meta, I want to set my budget at the campaign level and then let Meta decide how it spends among my various ad sets. So let's say I had multiple ad sets here. You see I have 2 ad sets now. I just duplicated it. Meta is going to decide, if I say put $100 here, Meta is going to decide how much this top ad set gets in terms of daily budget. Maybe it gets 50, maybe it gets 60, maybe it gets 80, and then it's going to decide how much the second one gets. Algorithmically, it's going to decide on its own. If you have this off, that's what's commonly referred to as ad set budget optimization, or ABO. And that's where you actually set the budget at the ad set level. So you can see here, this one's going to get 20 and this one's going to get 20 a day. Okay, so now let's talk about lead gen on Meta real quick. So there's 2 main ways of generating leads on Meta. So the first way is on Meta. Okay, so we have instant forms or DMs. Basically, we're collecting people's information on Meta's platforms. So like on Instagram or Facebook, a little form pops up, or you click on the link and it has the person DM you. That's how we generate leads on Facebook. So the thing about generating leads on Meta's platform is that it tends to lead to a lower quality lead, but it also leads to a lower cost per lead. So it can be less expensive, but then also the leads that you get may not be that great. So you have to kind of find that balance. I do recommend that you test it. Using instant forms or DMs or messenger ads are very effective, but you just have to make sure that the quality is there, okay? The second way of generating leads on Meta is on your website, okay? So this typically leads to a higher quality lead, but it's also a little bit more expensive. Why? It's a higher intent action to leave Facebook or Instagram and go to your website and fill out a form, okay? So Meta's gonna make you pay a premium for that. Meta's goal is to keep everybody on the platform. That's why the on-platform leads are less expensive, okay? So lead gen can be a little bit tricky because you have to find the balance between a high quality lead and a low cost per lead. Okay, so that's typically what we're trying to do. So if you have, let's say, a low cost per lead, but the lead quality is bad, then I recommend that you start to add more friction to the sign up process. What do I mean by that? So adding steps or questions that people have to answer before they can submit their information. It kind of qualifies them further, right? Now, if you have a high quality lead, but it's way too expensive, then you need to remove some friction from your sign up process. So removing steps, making it easier for people to sign up. So the ultimate goal is to find the highest quality lead for the least amount of money. And that's lead gen on Meta in a nutshell. So I just want to give you a couple tips about lead gen. If you are generating leads, it's best practice to try to reach out to them right away. Okay, so either call them, text them right away, because people forget that they sign up for these things. They just forget, okay? So the sooner you can contact them, the warmer they are and the more receptive they will be to responding to you. So make sure you have your team ready to respond to these leads, or you have some sort of Zapier integration or something that reaches out to them immediately, okay? Now, if you are setting up ads to book a call, like on Calendly, for example, I do recommend that you try to minimize the amount of time that they can book in the future. So, for example, for my services, I only let people book about 24 to 48 hours in advance. That has cut down on my no-show rate significantly. So if you're having an issue with people not showing up to calls that they book, try to shorten the window that they can book to like the same day, next day, and maybe the following day, and that's it. And you're gonna notice that your no-show rate is gonna go way down. But just to sum it all up, whenever you're generating leads, make sure you're reaching out to them as soon as possible. And if you're having no-shows, limit that window so that people actually show up to their calls. All right, you guys, I know that was a lot of information. I just wanna wrap this up by giving you some best practices for your meta ads, okay? So number one, keep it simple. Okay, try not to get too caught up in all the various settings and structures and all that crazy stuff inside of the meta ads. The things that make the biggest impact on your meta ads is number one is going to be your product, number two is going to be your offer, number three is going to be your creative, and number four is going to be like your ad account setup, the ad structure, and all that stuff. But I would say like 70% of your ad performance is going to come from like having a good product that people actually want to buy, having a good offer that's like compelling, and then number three is going to be your ad creative, so your comedy ads, right? So these three things, they make up the majority of your performance. So if I were you, I would focus on those things. If you're trying to make marginal improvements, then you can start looking at improving your technical knowledge of meta ads. That's going to help you find pockets of cheaper traffic or higher value traffic. But that's something that you're going to need to get some guidance or just get some more experience running ads to learn how to do that. Okay, so that's number one. Try to keep it simple, focus on what gives you the biggest improvement in results, which again are your product, offer, and creatives. Okay, so next, focus on what matters. What matters? Sales, dollars and cents, return on ad spend, cost per purchase. These are the things that matter. Don't get too caught up in your click-through rates or your hook rate or your hold rates. These are definitely important, but I refer to these as soft metrics. They are not as important as sales or revenue or profit, right? We need to make sure that we focus on what matters, which is sales. And then if you want to make marginal improvements, then you can start looking at your softer metrics. I mean, I always look at everything, but I primarily focus on sales. So I want to give you a little analogy that helps me understand how to move inside the ads manager, okay? I call it the snow globe analogy. So you guys know snow globes. The meta algorithm is kind of like a snow globe, okay? So every time you do something new in the ads manager, you launch a campaign, you turn something off, you edit something, you add a creative, you change a budget, it's like you're shaking the snow globe, okay? And the snow goes everywhere. That's the algorithm kind of going crazy. When you don't do anything, when you leave it steady, the snow starts to settle to the bottom, right? And that's where Meta's algorithm performs the best, in this steady state, okay? So Meta can be extremely volatile just as a platform in general. So the more that you mess with your ads, the more volatile it's gonna be. So I recommend that you try to shake the snow globe as little as possible. So the golden rule of Meta ads is if something is working, leave it alone. Don't touch it. Don't change anything. Don't change a comma. Don't edit the budget. Don't add a creative. Do nothing to it. Just leave it. Let it train your ad account. Again, meta ads is a complete data game. The more data that you have, the better your ads are going to perform. So if you have something that's working, if you touch it 9 times out of 10, you're going to break it. So I recommend if you do want to test something new or do something new, create a new campaign. Or if you're doing an ABO with ad sets that don't interact with each other, then create a whole new ad set. Just try to leave the thing that's working alone. So those are some rules of thumb. Basically, try to ask yourself, how can I get the most out of the changes that I'm trying to make by touching the ads the least? Okay, it's kind of like chess. You're trying to gain the most for touching it the least. It's a little bit theoretical, I know, but trust me, the more that you touch things inside of your ad account, it just kind of shakes the snow globe a lot and makes things kind of go crazy. So just try to move in a methodical way. Really think through what you're doing before you do it, and you're gonna have a lot better time with your ads. That's it, you guys. Congratulations, you now know more than most advertisers on Meta today. Now, if you want to keep learning about the technical side of Meta ads, then I highly recommend that you take advantage of this exclusive offer that we have for you today. So I have an exclusive community on School where we cover the technical side of Meta ads. If you join my community, you get to join one live Q&A call per week where we talk about everything about Meta ads. All the calls are recorded, so you can always go back and watch calls that you may have missed. And in these calls, we can discuss any questions that you have about your Meta ads campaigns. We can share screen, we can talk about all the intricacies and really get the most out of your Meta ads. Not only that, members are going to get exclusive content about Meta ads, step-by-step guides, checklists, ad templates, and much, much more. Members will also be able to ask me any questions at any time. I'm answering questions daily in the group. Imagine having a seasoned advertiser by your side giving you advice on how to get the most out of your ads. That's what you're gonna get if you join my community. In my community, we're gonna focus on the technical side of meta ads. I'm gonna be giving you content and various live Q&A calls where I explain everything in detail so you can be super confident in the Meta Ads Manager. And then I'm also gonna be teaching tried and true copywriting and advertising techniques so you can supercharge your ads. So the whole goal here, the whole concept is to take really persuasive and compelling ads and then getting super technical on the Meta Ads platform and putting those two things together so that you can make the absolute most money from your ads as possible. That's what I do every day with my community members now, and that's what I want you to benefit from as well. For a limited time only, this membership is only $99 a month. The price will go up to $199 in the future. So if you're seeing this and it's still $99, I highly recommend that you take advantage of this offer. So click the link below this video to apply to the group. I can't wait to see you on the inside. Take care, you guys.